As a personal trainer, this has been the eternal battle. When should you stretch? Okay, how should you warm up before you exercise? Would you just hop on the elliptical trainer? Would you just go for a little bit of a walk before you started to lift? Or would you do static stretching beforehand? Would you do dynamic stretching beforehand? Or when would you do your stretching? Would you do it afterwards? Okay, would you do a warm up or a cool down then? It's like all of these different things that have just been running through your head, and then depending on when your teachers were properly trained. And me in my situation, my lead instructor for my exercise physiology degree, she got all of her knowledge in the 1980s and never bothered to update it, and she was kind of useless as an instructor. And I've learned more about exercise outside of the confines of the college, but still, I kind of came to this conclusion at the time anyways, and it was actually one thing that she was kind of right about. So this was the similar opinion that she held. Warm up before working out and stretch afterwards. And there are multiple different stretches you can do, but most commonly people refer to stretching as just static stretching, and that is just holding. You know what, trying to do a tricep stretch as well, just holding it, just throwing it over your head like that, and then just pulling slightly on the elbow, and then that stretches also the lats if you do it correctly, as well as just pressing back a little bit in order to feel a stretch in your tricep. Doing that, since I'm doing it, might as well do it both on both sides. That is a static stretch. And then, just kind of rolling your shoulders like that, and then just doing little shoulder circles. Those are dynamic stretching. And there's also different, partner stretching that you can do, or doing little tricks for your muscles, and then constantly just moving it a little bit further each time using progressive resistance. There's different things you can do, but when they're referring to stretching, okay, most people just immediately default to static, okay? So let's see what they have here. If your joints start hurting while you're working out, it is best to stop and take another approach. Depends, okay? Do you know what proper hurting is, or is it just, I'm lifting so much my arms just hurt? No, that's called a pump, and you're starting to get or work towards failure. That's not hurting. That's just the benefits of training. Joint pain. That's fair, and I totally glossed over that. So if your joints, like your ankles, I pointed at my elbow and I said ankles. It's been a minute since I referenced a biology book, so just go ahead and forgive me on that one. So you got your elbows, you got your wrists, obviously your ankles, your hips. If those places actually start to hurt, not the muscle bellies if you're doing any sort of resistance training, if those start hurting, okay, you might have a bit of a problem. Okay, so joint pain is never good during exercising. It can signal two things: potential injury, or the fact that your body isn't quite ready for the strain. True. This may be of particular interest as temperatures begin to drop. Warming up prior to exercise can help prevent joint pain and reduce the risk of injury. It allows for the synovial fluid to work its way into the joints so that they are lubricated and move freely. Exactly. And then also earlier in the week, we talked about proper hydration. Make sure that you're properly hydrated going into an exercise session. What would a warm-up look like? It really depends on what you're doing. If you're heading outdoors for a walk, jog, or a bike ride, it can simply involve starting at a lower pace. Take 10 to 15 minutes to ease into it before really hitting your stride. Yeah, exactly. You should just be raising your heart rate, okay? Before just going full stride into things. Take the stairs a couple of times, okay? Get those movements, hey, get your body used to those movements. If you've been sedentary for a while, or if you're just first thing waking up in the morning, just get a little exercise, just get a little bit of movement going. And that's where I would recommend doing some dynamic stretching. Not the static stretching, because that's not going to be moving anything. That's not going to be lubricating any of your joints. You get it? For resistance training, a walk can help, but it's also a good idea to focus on joints that you're going to be using. Yeah, so again, if you're doing legs, okay, it might be nice to start rolling your shoulders, or just doing little arm circles to get your elbows moving, mostly because, you're probably going to be loading up your arms in order to do squats or something. If you're putting them behind your head, obviously you're going to be wanting to lubricate your shoulder joints, but again, make sure that it's specific. Don't be putting too much emphasis on your ankles if you're doing bicep curls. You get what I mean? But this is also a big important point as well. It's also a good idea to focus on joints you'll be using, so performing the movements without any weight. Don't do weighted stretching. Don't do weighted work or warm-up, sorry. You're just begging for injuries to occur. You probably see, if you've ever been to a gym, there's always going to be that one idiot who's going to be out there grunting. He's probably got his tank top on, probably be in a tool bag, and he just picks up the 10 or 15 pound weights and he just starts jacking them around. That dude, you just pray something bad happens to him. But that's not the way you do it. That's not the way you do it. You can use resistance bands if you want, but nothing weighted. Don't use weights. It's dumb. Or low weight. Nope. No weight whatsoever. Or maybe by like resistance bands or progressive resistance. That's what they mean. That's fine. It's a great habit to get into. Once you're warm, you should be good to go. Sometimes it can involve things like shoulder circles or lunges, anything that gets blood to the area. Yes, using body weight to warm up, that's fine. That could be your low weight, okay? Warming up before exercise is a good way to avoid injury. Stretching afterwards can help too. Yes, okay, let's see what they point out, and I might be able to add a little bit on top of that. Stretching before a workout can be dangerous. It may trick the body into expanding its range of motion, potentially putting into compromising situations that can lead to injury. Yes, especially if you're let's just take regular old not shoulder flies, just chest flies for a minute, okay? Your body, okay, because your muscles might not be strong at the end of your range of motion, okay, or your shoulder might be a little bit freer and more open, and if you are being really dumb and you're just trying to throw up way too much weight, you could be compromising your AC joint, okay? That's going to the extreme, obviously, but as things are a little bit more elastic, there's a little bit more give normally in your joints. So although you might want to be loose and warm prior to a workout, you can save your stretching for the end. Stretching after a workout can aid in the recovery and prevent soreness that may occur. This can also help with your next day's workout. Exactly. What they mean by preventing soreness afterwards, after your training session, is because of the buildup of lactic acid that happens when you're breaking down the muscles, and that's what breaks down the muscle. It's the lactic acid that gets produced, okay? And then by stretching afterwards, you're just inducing more blood to run through, and then that pushes out most, not all of the lactic acid. You're still going to feel it after a good training session on that day. So if you do the stretching afterwards, that's where you're going to find the biggest benefit. Okay, and then everybody wants to be flexible anyway, so you should be stretching, okay? Nobody wants to be just the crippled up old man who, oh, I remember when I could touch my toes. I can't do that anymore. No, you could still do it if you just put in the time. And then, yeah, help improve the next day's workout. Yeah, because then you won't be feeling sore, especially if you do into exceptionally strenuous shoulder activity, and then you want to do arms the next day, and then you can't pick up a dumbbell because you just pressed your brains out. It's happened before to all of us. Don't worry about it. Remember to warm up before and stretch after. It can help protect your joints and prevent injury. If you do feel joint pain during exercise, stop immediately. Yeah, it's probably just a posture or a movement thing. Okay, if your knees hurt, make sure that they aren't going over your toes and everything's staying in line with your ankles and your hips. Okay, proper little soft bend in your knees whenever you're standing. You're doing standing curls, standing press, anything like that. Shoulder width apart. Knees slight bend. They don't go over the tips of your toes. That puts excess stress on your ACL. You don't want any of that. Sometimes, but more often than not, that's always going to be the case. Not properly doing the exercise themselves, okay? Or stretching your range of motion just stupidly, okay? Once again, just warming up with weight. Oh, I'm going to be doing bench press today, so therefore I need to, put 20-pound weights because I'm somebody who's strong enough to bench press 400 pounds. So I'm just going to put them off to the sides, and then, oops, my shoulder just popped out of place. Seen it happen before. It's fairly gruesome. Reduce your intensity or find alternative exercises. Yep. Don't do anything that compromises your body. Just aware of your own limitations, but also know how to properly push those limitations, because just because something hurts today doesn't mean that you can't take the corrective steps in order to be doing it well in the future. With that said, guys, thank you all very much for the gift of your time. I've been Dog Consuelo. I want you to follow your gut and get after it. Take care, everyone.